admit that's a message I wish that I understood when I was younger. I didn't grow up in the best situation, and I grew up with a father that my parents divorced when I was 3. I grew up with my dad. My mom remarried, and when I was in 3rd grade, he was transferred and they moved away. They decided to keep me and my brother, who's 5 years older, around the rest of our family and stay in the same school. So we lived with my dad from 3rd grade on. My dad was incredibly abusive to me, and I can't recall many weeks where I wasn't beaten 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, and it was pretty severe. I lived in fear most of my childhood. This went on until about 6th grade. I went through a growth spurt, and I guess I got a little too big to handle, so he never hit me again, but then he just emotionally tore me apart. And this continued until about my freshman year in high school. And our freshman year in high school was when my father was diagnosed with cancer. This was very bittersweet for me, because part of me was glad because I thought all this would come to an end. And the other part of me was devastated because it was my dad. That's all I knew. And what I didn't realize is that I was getting like a front row seat to see the gospel transform someone like I've never seen before and really probably haven't seen since. My dad went from being this monster to being a man who was desperately and passionately in love with Jesus Christ. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that lightly because I didn't want grace to be for him. But the change was undeniable, man. We didn't pray growing up, and I would hear him in his bedroom at night praying and crying over me and my brother and my mom, who he divorced when I was 3 years old. And I was like, who is this guy? I didn't know he owned the Bible, but he would, at night, he would fall asleep with his face in the Word, and I would put his Bible on his nightstand. It would wake him up, and we would have conversations about just life. And somewhere in the conversation, every time, he'd be in tears saying, I'm so sorry for the things I've done to you. And by the time he passed away, my freshman year in college, he went from being a monster to the guy that I want to be like when I grow up, if I ever grow up. He's still one of the godliest men that I've ever known. And I say this because I believe that if the gospel can change that dude, it can change anyone. And so needless to say, I grew up and had issues to deal with and a lot of stuff in my past I had to unpack and work out. And I've been married for 18 years. I got 5 amazing kids, and my wife was my first girlfriend in 7th grade. We didn't date that whole time. She came to her senses in college, and she's obviously not here. But no, she knew my dad and knew the stuff that I'd gone through, and during our marriage, we've had issues to where it's like, man, I don't deal with stress I really don't deal with much of anything very well because of the stuff I went through, and so we went to this counselor and kind of started to unpack all the stuff that I just kept hidden and buried for so long. And there was this moment to where she said this one thing that kind of made me snap. I kind of had this Goodwill Hunting kind of ugly cry, right? Where snot was everywhere. It was pretty gross. But all she said was, you know, if you ever wonder what you would have been like in a godly family environment, just watch your middle son, Charlie, because he's just like you. I started bawling. I wasn't sure why I was crying, but I was bawling because it almost felt like a do-over just to watch him. And she also called us a godly family environment. So I was like, oh, we win. Let's get out. And Charlie, he's 9. He thinks I'm odd. I stare at him a little too long. And I'm always analyzing everything he does. Like, why'd you choose Cheerios over Fruit Loops? Is that where I went wrong? But it got me thinking, man, if you could ever sit and have a conversation with the 9-year-old version of yourself, what would that be like? With all the stuff you've gone through, if you could sit down and just tell them anything, what would you say to them? And the blessing and the curse of a songwriter is that my therapy is that I write songs about it. So I thought, this is a cool idea for a song, not realizing this would be one of the hardest songs ever written. So I didn't know what to say. It's like a small talk, and the problem is it's got to be like 3 minutes long and rhymes. It's like a double hard. And then it dawned on me one day, I know what I would say if it were possible to sit there and talk to him. A few years ago, a friend of mine, he's the one that reminded me that there's nothing I can do to make Christ love me any more than he already does right now. Well, another thing that he did that made a huge impact was that for about 2 years, every day he would text me the same thing. You were holy, righteous, and redeemed, and I'm for you. And you know what? I started to believe it. Not only who I am in Christ, but that someone was actually for me. And everything changed when I realized that Christ did everything. I can tell you no matter what you go through, I do not have to know you personally to tell you, I guarantee you that Christ is bigger. Right. And so if I could sit with the 9-year-old, 8-year-old version of myself, all I would tell him is that you were holy, righteous, and redeemed over and over and over again. Because if that can turn my world upside down when I turn 40, how much damage could I have done if I understood it at 8? I don't know where you come from. I don't know what you've gone through or what you're dealing with. I don't know what's been done to you or what you've done. But I'm here to tell you that if the God of everything chooses to remember your sin no more, maybe you should give it a shot. That your identity is not your guilt and it's not your shame. So my prayer is that this song just kind of lighten the load a little bit. And let you off the hook. I hope you like it. The song is called Dear Younger Me. Dear younger me, it's not your fault. You were never meant to carry this beyond the cross. Dear younger me, you are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set apart, a brand new heart. Oh, you are free indeed. You are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set